let's begin sitting in a comfortable position. Take a moment to be aware of your breath and allow the breath to simply flow. With each breath, begin to deepen the breath so you gradually work towards your deepest possible breath, expanding the lungs with the inhale and letting go and lightly contracting the abdomen with the exhale. Continue this full, deep breathing as you practice. And notice if you ever lose the breath while practicing, you can take this as an indication that it's time to rest or modify. Focus on your breath and your pace primarily as you practice. In a comfortable seat with the spine long, feel a lift of the chest and slightly tuck the chin into the chest to stretch the neck. Roll the neck gently side to side in a half moon motion as you continue to sit tall. After a few rounds, come back to the neutral position and re-extend the spine from the base up. From your seated position, transition onto the hands and knees with a slightly long position, the shoulders above the wrists and the knees behind the hips, and a neutral spine. With your exhale, round the back, lift the abdominals and tuck the chin. With the inhale, lengthen the spine to a neutral position with a slight opening of the chest and a lift out of the shoulders. Continue this spinal roll several more rounds to gradually awaken the body. Move with the pace of the breath and aim to have the breath and the movement fluid. Sit back gradually in child's pose when you're complete, with the hips to heels, the chest to thighs, and the forehead resting to the ground, or folded arms if your neck needs support. When you've spent a few breaths here, we'll come back onto the hands and knees and take 5 rounds of gentle bows. Keep the elbows close to the sides and lower slightly with the exhale. With the inhale, lift and use your core as well as your arms, and continue approximately 5 rounds, or until you feel complete. Eventually, taking your release to child. From child's pose, come back onto the hands and knees, tuck under the toes, and then push into downward facing dog pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You may need the heels lifted and even a slight bend in the knees if the legs feel tight. Ideally, we lift out of the shoulders with great length in the arms and length of the spine. Have the lumbar long and the tailbone tall. Originally in yoga, this posture was referred to as mountain pose. So you want to be really tall through the sitting bones and the tailbone, as if you were lifting and emulating the world's highest mountain peak. After 3 to 5 breaths, walk slowly to the top of the mat and come into a half lift, holding the upper shins, and perhaps bend the knees if you need. Fold more deeply over the legs and let the spine, neck, and head relax. Bend your knees, straighten your spine, and bring your hands to your hips and rise up into a straight back lift. At the top of the lift, lengthen the legs, release the arms, and inhale, upward salute, arms to sky, hands connect overhead. Exhale, relax your arms down and alongside the body. Inhale, lift the arms back over the head. And exhale, relax your arms. One more time. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, standing pose. Inhale, lift the arms halfway with the elbows slightly bent. And begin to twist to the right while squaring the hips. Then to the left, and repeat this a few more times as a flow, focusing primarily on stretching the torso and not the legs or the hips. When complete, relax the arms alongside the body after doing equal rounds side to side. Inhale, lift the arms overhead and hold the right wrist as you stretch to the left laterally, keeping the core in towards the spine. Come back to center and repeat this as a flow, several rounds, side to side. When you complete the last side, come back to center with the arms lifted, and then exhale, relax the arms with the hands alongside the hips, completing the gentle warm-up. Beginning intermediate practice with a simple sun salutation. Take upward salute and then exhale Uttanasana. Step right leg back, raised runner, transition to plank pose, then lower to face down. Inhale gentle cobra and exhale lower. Inhale cobra, this time using the arms, and exhale lower. Lift to neutral and exhale Adho Mukha Svanasana. Use your core deeply and step right leg forward, runner. Glide to Uttanasana and then put a very deep bend in the knees to roll up to standing. Inhale, upward salute, and exhale Uttanasana. Left leg back, raised runner, then glide to plank. Transition face down and inhale gentle cobra. Lower, and then this time cobra using the arms but keeping a slight bend in the elbows. Glide down, lift to neutral, and exhale downward facing dog. Left side, raised runner, step lightly, then glide in and take Uttanasana. Take an extra breath, and then bend the knees very deep and roll to standing, lifting the arms and then relaxing the arms. Taking a more dynamic sun salutation. Inhale, upward salute, and exhale, fold over the legs. Step the right leg back, raised runner. Transition to plank, and then hover chaturanga. Push the feet back and lift to upward dog, and then draw deep into the core and exhale, downward dog. Right leg forward, raised runner. Glide, Uttanasana. Roll up standing, and inhale, upward salute. Exhale, fold over the legs. Left leg back, raised runner. Glide to plank, and then lower, low plank, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Open the shoulders back. Exhale, downward dog. Lift the hips high. Draw deep into the core. Left leg forward. Raised runner. To Uttanasana. Bend the knees. Roll up. And inhale, upward salute. Exhale, relax the arms alongside the body. Inhale, upward salute. And then exhale, Uttanasana. Right leg back, raised runner, plank, chaturanga, upward dog, and only if you want to add the extra chaturanga back to plank and back to downward dog. You could always skip that extra push-up and just do dog pose instead. Take right leg forward, raised runner, to Uttanasana. Bend the knees, roll up, inhale, arms to sky. Exhale, fold over the legs. Step the left leg back, and then glide through plank to chaturanga. Lift and open the heart, upward dog. Exhale, either back to downward dog or adding the extra low push-up to high push-up. And all roads lead to the mountain. Take left foot forward, raised runner using the core. And then glide to Uttanasana. Take an extra breath or two and make sure the neck and head is very relaxed. Bend the knees very, very deep to support your back as you roll up, standing. Lift the arms to the sky and then bring the hands to prayer and reconnect with the breath in standing as you steady the pulse and the mind. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, Uttanasana. Step your left leg back, raised runner, and have your right knee right on top of your ankle or heel. Keep the left hand down and take a twist with the right arm to sky. You can hold your sacrum if you need, otherwise have the arms long and the top arm pointing straight up. Several deep breaths here. Exhale, unwind, glide back to the top of the mat, and then take the right leg back so the left knee is above the ankle in raised runner. Keep the right hand down and twist open, opening the chest with the left arm to the sky, sustaining several deep breaths, feeling openness in the shoulders and great length in the arms. Unwind. Glide back to Uttanasana, and then walk both feet back to plank pose and have a very straight spine and a subtle tuck of your tailbone. Put your knees down, have your elbows on the ground, and then re-extend the legs for forearm chaturanga. 5 deep breaths here. Make the spine very straight and try and have the hips and the shoulders the same level. One more breath. Now let's exhale. Soften down to Sphinx pose. The thighs lower to the ground, and when the weight's bared on the lower body, you can release the core muscles and now allow those muscles that we've previously strengthened to stretch and open. Have space in the shoulders, broadness across the collarbones, and feel a lift in your heart and lungs as you breathe deep. Lower down and bring the hands alongside the chest. Then lift to neutral using the core. Push into the legs and take Adho Mukha. And then right leg lifts. Bring the knee to nose and tuck and roll the chin and the tailbone. Re-extend the right leg and then lower the foot to the ground. Lift the left leg high and bring left knee to nose and tuck into the core. Re-extend the left leg and then simply set the foot down. Coming back to the right side, you may want to use your fingertips to step. We'll lift the right leg and then use that same type of strength, but step all the way to Warrior 2, with the foot to the middle between the hands. Lift the left arm, then the right. Hold for 5 breaths. Take a couple more breaths. Remember to stay activated in the core to get a deeper stretch in the hips and stability in the spine. The front foot and knee is centered. We have a steady gaze. We can see the big toe. Last breath. And then glide down to a runner's pose and flow back to downward dog pose. Lift the left leg high. Step with great strength, Warrior 2, and hold 5 long breaths. Be steady, check in with the alignment, and then focus more on your inner experience as you find meditation within the strength and strength within the meditation. One more breath. And then glide down to runner's pose. Then releasing to downward dog pose. Lift the right leg high and use your core to step very lightly to warrior one, this time with the feet hip distance apart and the back toes slightly pointed in. Sit deep as much as your joints allow and enjoy the pose. Bring the hands down. Flow back to dog pose. Then lift the left leg high and use the core to step left side, warrior one. You sit deep into the legs, have the spine long, the core drawing in, and the shoulders relaxed. Be steady with the eye gaze and steady with the breath. Release the hands down and glide back to downward dog pose. Come to plank pose with the shoulders in line with the wrists. Take a breath here. You might need to push your feet back a little. Balancing on the right hand, take side plank. Consider using the right knee down, otherwise legs together. Lifting the hips, lifting out of the right shoulder, lifting the left arm tall. As smoothly as you can, glide back to plank pose, and then left side, side plank. 3 breaths. Modify if you need, otherwise enjoy the lift and try and use strength in the legs, the core, not just the shoulder. If the wrist hurts, sometimes having the hand more forward is helpful. Take a smooth release, back to plank, and then put the knees down and ease back to child. Flow back to the hands and knees. Push back into downward dog. Lift the right leg and step lightly to warrior two. And then from warrior two, flow into triangle for a nice long hold. We have energy in the legs, openness in the toes, stability around the knees, a subtle drawing into the core, and an enjoyment of the breath. Look up if you can, but feel free to look forward or down if you really need. We'll spend a little bit more time here, feeling strong and open in the pose. Trikonasana. Glide to runner's pose. Flow back to downward dog pose. Lift left leg tall. Step warrior two. And then left side from warrior two, hinge and lengthen into triangle. 5 to 7 deep breaths here. Try and make the breath very, very long and very, very smooth. Use your core without making your belly tense, and lengthen the side body, feeling the great length and strength of the pose. let's take a couple more breaths. And then glide to runner's pose. Flow back, downward dog pose, and lift the right leg and step right foot between the hands, crescent lunge. Rise up, extend the arms, and be really strong in the back leg. A brief hold here. Glide the hands down, flow back to downward dog pose, lift the left leg, and using the core, step ever so smooth to crescent lunge, low hips and tall spine. Hands down, flow back to downward dog, and then lift the right leg and step lightly to warrior two. Then take warrior lift, lifting the right arm and drawing into the core with the back arm resting on the leg. Flow back to runner's pose and glide to downward dog. Lift the left leg and step with grace and strength to warrior two. Take warrior lift left side. Emphasize the drawing in of the core. Flow to runner's pose and glide back, downward dog. Lift the right leg and now step to warrior two, taking reverse warrior. If your back hurts, stay with the warrior lift. Otherwise, draw in the core more and stretch back deeper while bending the right knee above the ankle. Feel very strong and open in the pose for 2 more breaths. Release, runner's pose, flow back to downward dog. Lift the left leg, step lightly warrior two. Take reverse warrior and hold. Deep breath. Glide back to runner's pose, then downward facing dog, and sustain. Flow to child's pose with the toes tucked under. Come to sitting on the heels for a healthy toes pose, enjoying the deep stretch in the feet, ankles, and legs. Have hands to prayer and a long spine. Then engage the core and land the hands lightly forward, hands and knees to downward dog. Look forward and strengthen the back and the abdominals, bend the knees and lightly jump to the base of the palms. Take a half lift and then fold and place the hands forward and jump back. Again, inhale, lift and look forward and jump to the top of the mat, landing lightly, maybe bending the knees a little as needed. Fold deeper over the legs, jump back, downward dog, and then one more time, jump forward, practicing that fluid movement lighter each time. Take a half lift, and then consider using a block under the right hand as we set up for half moon pose. Bring the hands slightly forward, lift the left leg, and open the hip and the chest with the left arm to the sky and the right hand deeply grounded. Have a steady gaze, looking up if you can, but looking down for easier balance as needed. Keep drawing into the core and be in the same geometric plane with the arms, legs, and the body. Slowly unwind while keeping the back leg lifted, both hands down, and then the feet come together. Dissolve for a moment in a fold, then lift and place the hands slightly forward and the left hand slightly to the left to stabilize. Right leg lifts, open, half moon, and open the chest and the top arm to the sky. Couple more deep breaths, feeling very balanced. You could always do this leaning on a wall if you're not able to balance. And very gracefully unwinding, hands down, then feet down. Dissolve into a forward bend. Breathe. Place the hands forward, walk back to plank. Hover chaturanga, inhale upward dog. If you'd like, back to chaturanga, to plank, to downward dog. From downward dog, lift the foot, bend the knee, and bring the right knee forward for swan pose. Center the hips. Sit on something if your knees or hips hurt. And then relax into a forward bend. Come back up. And if it feels good, you can walk the hands back into a back bend, opening the chest more than the chin. Again, forward bend, and dissolve into the pose, sustaining fluid breath. Come up to swan, flow back, downward dog, then take left side forward, swan pose, settling into the deep stretch in the glutes. Relax into the forward bend, and then glide up. And if it feels good, adjust deeper into the back bend with a sense of lift out of the pelvis to not compress the lumbar spine. Shoulder blades back, open the chest, and then lengthen down and let yourself just melt into the pose. Swan forward bend. Breathing and relaxing. Bring the hands in place. Rise up to swan and exhale downward dog pose. Becoming stable in the pose. Grounding the hands, lifting out of the shoulders. We'll do a little walk or jump into Malasana, bringing the feet to the top of the mat slightly wide. Sit here and consider just staying in this squat and not doing the arm balances unless you feel safe and proficient in these poses. Come into crow with the hands grounded, and at first you have the elbows bent to create a shelf for the knees. You're on the tiptoes, which is fine just to stay there, or eventually the feet lift in like hands to prayer. Relax down to the squat. If this is enough, call this for a day and wait to practice more another time. Otherwise, take crow one more time, and you have the option, if you're comfortable, to do jump back vinyasa, hover chaturanga, lift upward dog, glide back, downward dog. If you want to experience more, hop back into malasana, and then either do another crow or set up for firefly, which is a very difficult pose, so have patience with yourself if you can't do it just yet. Bring the hands way back, sit back, lift the feet, point the feet, and extend the legs, feeling very strong in the legs and the core. The most advanced transition, which is not mandatory, is a jump back. If that's part of your practice, add that to chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. Otherwise, it's probably wisest just to set the feet down and walk back to downward dog. We'll all meet here and just relax and sustaining. Remember, no one gets left behind in yoga. This isn't a bike race. Take a well-deserved rest in child and just relax. Come back to hands and knees. Set up for plank pose. And take a few deep breaths here with the shoulders slightly behind the wrists to make it easier on the wrists. Hold, feel long and strong in the spine, or if anything, slightly rounded in the low back to really tap in to the lower abdominals. Lower to face down. And now lift to cobra and really work the shoulders rolling back with a subtle bend in the elbows. If your back hurts, sometimes having a blanket under the stomach is very helpful. Release. Bring the hands a little bit higher. Let's try a longer hold where we lift and lift the eye gaze, lifting the heart primarily. The head eventually will lift a little bit, but let that be guided by the sternum. And holding longer, lengthening evenly through the spine. Don't put the stretch all in one area. Try and stretch into the mid-back as well as the upper back. And lengthen the tailbone back toward the heels, which stay centered. Exhale, lower. And just rest. When you're ready, you can bring the hands under the hips and have the chin slightly forward if that doesn't hurt the neck. Lift the legs and lower, and do that again. When ready, lift the legs as high as you can and sustain. Eventually, you'll be able to lift the legs vertical and create an inversion as well as a deep back bend. Be patient with yourself and maybe put that one on the 5 or 10-year plan. Occasionally, we have to wait till the next lifetime. It's okay. Just breathe. When you're complete with the sequence, come back to hands and knees and ease slowly into a deep child. From child's pose, come back to hands and knees and lower to face down. Now we're going to lift the arms and the legs, a simple locust, and reach the arms back, setting up for bow. Bend the legs, lower the legs and the body slightly to get your grip around the upper ankles. And then inhale, lift to bow. This first round, not doing your full effort, but just enjoying warming up into the heart opening. Exhale, lower, but keep the hands holding the legs. And then inhale, lift to bow. Second round, going a little bit deeper. Exhale, lower. Take an extra breath. If this is enough already, that's fine. Otherwise, inhale, last round of bow. If you can, go deeper and hold longer. And if not, that's fine. Stay with the breath. That's most important. Feel the chest open, the heart open, the legs lift to lift the body lifts to lift the legs. Steady gaze, centered mind. Lower. Release the legs. Place the hands alongside the chest and lift to neutral, and then a nice long downward dog pose. Maybe turn the head side to side to make sure the neck is relaxed. You could wag your dog a little bit to adjust the hips, stretch the side body, and thaw out the lumbar spine. And then center. Take child's pose. Roll up to sitting and adjust to the side. Have the legs bent. Hold the feet. Balance on the sitting bones and lift the chest. Lift the legs. Lift partway or fully extend the legs and have the shoulders drawing back as you push the chest forward. Holding here as long as you can. Or maybe, for instance, 2 more deep breaths. Exhale, lower the feet to the ground. And now, extend the left leg, open the right knee, and take Janu Shirshasana, stretching gradually over the leg while enjoying the release in the leg muscles, hip joint, and back muscles. Relax your crown, neck, and mental head as well. Taking this time to just let go. And then release from the pose, set up for the next side, adjust your hips even, and have the spine long as you stretch into the second side. Keep the length of the spine and emphasize a reaching forward through your heart as you soften the third eye and the crown, having the neck relaxed, connected with the breath. Use the hands for some leverage, but don't tense the shoulders. Let it be a full body release, not just a leg stretch. Release the forward bend. Transition to the top of the mat. And then roll back and take knees to chest. Give yourself a nice hug and gently rock side to side. Lower the feet to the ground, feet parallel, and inhale, lift into your deepest, most comfortable bridge pose, with the chest drawing toward the chin, more than the chin toward the chest. Lower, and if you're ready, you can add wheel pose. If not, do another round of bridge. Either way, we'll pass through a setup like bridge. Bring the hands in place with the fingertips facing the feet near the shoulders, and then push up into wheel and keep the feet and the knees parallel and gently hugging in. Try and stretch evenly through your back and have low expectations for this first wheel. We'll lower down, pause in neutral, and if you can, do 2 more wheels, lifting gradually, but gradually deepening, feeling more open in your body, heart, and mind with each wheel pose. Lower very smoothly from the pose, and if you've got extra energy, enjoy the last round and go deeper and hold longer, but honor the breath foremostly. Sometimes it helps to lift the heels if the back hurts. Feel a nice stretching through the front body as you lengthen the back body. Lower very smooth. Tuck the chin so you lower onto the back of the neck. Roll down the spine and just take a pause in neutral. Make the feet wider and bend the knees together to release the sacrum and the low back after the deep back bend sequence. Beginning the finishing sequence. Have the feet on the ground with the heels close to the hips, and then open the knees and bring the feet together for reclined butterfly. If you have low back pain, try using a blanket or some form of padding under the feet. Otherwise, we'll do a longer hold here and really just take time to relax and enjoy. Breathe deep into your hips and also deep into your back, deep into your chest, deep into the neck and shoulders. Let all your effort, all your tension fade away more and more with each exhale. Enjoy this stretch. You can use cushioning under the head or the hands under the head as a natural cushion. It's also nice to rest the hands on the body or near the body. Choose whatever is most comfortable for you. Let's hold for a few more long breaths, having the exhale very, very smooth, enjoying that duration. Lift the knees, bring the knees to the chest, and give yourself a nice, well-deserved hug. Keep the right knee to chest. Elongate the left leg to the ground, and then weave the fingers behind the hamstring connector, close to the hip, and extend the right leg to the sky and flex the toes. Right heel lifts, toes draw down with space between them, and we'll take some time here. It's not so much of a deep leg stretch, but a nice release for the low back as you gently push the leg into the hands and pull back on the hands against the leg to traction the lumbar. One more breath. Lower very smooth. And then bring the left knee into chest. Weave the fingers behind the hamstring connector. And take this time to stretch the legs, low back, and ultimately nourish and restore the body and the internal organs. With your exhale, let the leg release all the way down. Then bend the knees. Open the knees and have the feet together for a second round of reclined butterfly. Bring the knees up and hug the knees back into the chest. Lower the feet to the ground. Have the left leg bent. Extend the right leg, and this time lift the right leg and hold the big toe if you can, or just hold the calf or use a strap on the foot. Extend the left leg, unless that's too much of a stretch, and then do a sit-up for a few breaths, strengthening as you lengthen the torso and the leg muscles. Maintain the leg stretch. Going deeper into the muscles now, lay back down. Stretch as deep as you can while still being able to breathe and enjoy. Release the right leg all the way down. Bend the right leg. Lift the left leg. Take a hold of the foot or the leg, and optionally extend the opposite leg as you take a sit-up to strengthen and stretch. Work your strength effectively but not excessively. Lay back down and deepen into the legs, elongating the bottom leg as well as the top leg, engaging through the feet and enjoying the stretch. Release both legs to the ground for a little mini Shavasana, just taking 2 or 3 breaths here, observing sensations side to side in the body. Next, have the legs together and bend the knees. If you have a block, place a block under the wide wing bones of the hips, or just a large book or some pillows would work just fine. Knees lift and then extend the legs vertical and point the ankles while opening the toes. We'll try and hold here for about a minute But if you need to come down sooner, that's fine. This is a great posture to reverse the blood flow and create a nourishing inversion. But it's also a posture that requires a certain amount of strength to hold. So have patience as you build your endurance and enjoy the experience. Pointing the feet allows the hamstrings to lengthen more effortlessly. However, if your hamstrings are quite flexible but your Achilles is tight, you could take the option to flex the feet and stretch the Achilles. Depends on what your individual body needs. Work on what you need to turn your weakness into strengths, and keep breathing. Very good. That was a solid minute there. So go ahead and slowly bend the knees down, remove any props if you use them, and come back to knees to chest. Take the right ankle to the left thigh for cradle pose and hold the left hamstring or the shin as you work the right knee away from the body. You can flex the right foot and keep the ankle in line with the leg. Keep the neck and head relaxed and the shoulders on the ground. Enjoy this release. We're releasing the largest muscle in the body with this pose. Switch sides, cradle pose, and take your time. Once you've come into the second side, notice how you feel. Sometimes one hip is tighter, so in your own home practice you can modify and do 2 rounds on the tight side if you need, or just a longer hold. If the flexibility is equal, then the amount of time you hold is equal. Remember the alignments of the ankles and knees to keep the knees safe and prioritize the opening of the hip. And enjoy how this posture is really nice for not just the muscles but the low back as well. This is an excellent daily posture for all types of people, active and non-active. When you feel even, come back to knees to chest, and then support either a wide knees to chest or a happy baby pose with the ankles above the knees and the knees widening. It's natural for the hips to come off the ground a little bit. That's fine. But do your best to ground the hips as well as the shoulder blades in the back of the neck. Flow back to knees to chest. And now open the arms with the wrists a little lower than the shoulders. Twist the legs to the left, upper body twisting to the right, and use your left hand on your right thigh while keeping the right shoulder blade grounded. Exhale, unwind, come back to knees to chest, and then when ready, take the other side and feel that the spine is long as you twist. Avoid twisting the neck if you need to, otherwise look in the opposite direction of the legs. Have the legs and feet relaxed. Enjoy the stretch in the hips as well as the spine, and breathe very deep and very slow. When both sides are complete, take one more knees to chest. Hug in, tuck your chin, feel gratitude for your practice, and then release it all and rest in Shavasana. You can pad under the knees for your back. You could cover with the blanket to insulate, or just feel a layer between you and the outer world. This is a time for your inner journey, so let go of all effort in the body. Let go of all effort in the breath. Feel relaxation in the fingers and toes and all the space in between. Relax the muscles of your face. The eyes are softly closed, and you relax the throat and the jaw as well. Spend as much time here as you can. The sequence allows for approximately 7 minutes, but you could always take more time if you like. This is your time to restore and heal body, mind, and spirit. So enjoy this time and go as deep as you can into the relaxation as you allow yourself to experience the full benefit of yoga. When ready, begin to deepen the breath. Bring subtle movement back to the body, and slowly make your way to knees to chest. From knees to chest, extend one arm overhead, roll to that side, and gradually lift to a comfortable seated posture. Concluding today's practice. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaste.